from the name itself, you can see it has got config, and it is a AWS native offering, native service. As the name indicates, it's a configuration management tool. So in a way, like, see, it's not pretty much just an alternative for your Ansible or other tools. So this tool helps you maintain the desired state configuration at the AWS platform level. Whereas if you go to organizations where they have quite a lot of Linux systems or there are different operating systems. So based on the compatibility and based on the configuration that you need within the operating system, will be managed and maintained using different set of tools like Ansible and other tools. But this is at the AWS platform level in your organization. So generally the security team or the leadership team asks two questions, right? Uh, whether the environment is compliant at the AWS platform level at least, and what does the cloud look like at this point of time? Are there multiple vulnerabilities, or are there any kind of loopholes and stuff? So the answer that you can provide is based on this tool report. Okay, so this tool can evaluate, audit, do the assessment, and provide a detailed report of the configuration of your AWS resources. Okay, so this cannot replace any existing tools like Ansible and other tools, because those tools are predominantly used for your operating system level, application level, service level vulnerability. So on the AWS configuration, AWS resource level, AWS platform level, this tool can do end-to-end assessment, auditing, and evaluation of the configuration of the resources. For an example, let's say if your organization doesn't want your S3 buckets to be publicly accessible, or if you don't want your security groups to be widely open to internet. So those kind of security governance compliance can be enforced using this config tool. So sometimes there are certain situations where you will need to have multiple tools work together to particular need or to achieve particular status compliance need. Okay, that is something I'll come to that use case and scenario later. To start with, today we will focus on these areas. What is config, what are the features, what are the benefits, pros and cons, pricing related information, and also the integration options with the rest of the AWS services in the cloud platform. So this is more of a management and governance tool, especially from a security and configuration point of view. So AWS config is a service that enables you to do the assessment, do the auditing, and evaluate the configuration of each and every AWS resources. And this is not a one-time auditing or assessment tool. This is going to be a continuous recording tool. It's like a digital video recorder, as a easier analogy to understand. It records every single infrastructure AWS platform level configuration state changes, and this is the foundation tool for multiple other things as well. So it also maintains a historical timeline as well. What is the relationship between each and every resource, and what is the security state, compliance state, and it automatically um, records all the changes. So you don't have to manually go and do any manual polling or nothing. So it automatically gets the data, and it evaluates the resource configuration, metadata, the parameters, and so on. So you can go back to any particular point in time and then check what was the configuration state at this point of date, or at this point of time. If in case you are doing some root cause analysis, or if you want to roll back, or if you want to troubleshoot, this tool will give you quite a lot of information. And as you could see here, it also shows you how each resources are related to each other. So dependency mapping, interdependencies can also be seen here, and how the configuration was changed from over time to time. Okay, so who made the changes and all those things, you can take it from CloudTrail, but here it will show you when the configuration was modified, that level. Okay, but if you want to get deep into the trial or troubleshooting mode, then you have to use other tools also. Like last week I showed you how CloudTrail can give you the information about who logged in, from which IP address, who made the changes, and how did they make the changes. Is it through command line or API, or using the GUI? So all those options will be available in CloudTrail, but here it will show you how the configuration was earlier and what was the change that was done. Okay, so that information available here. So it is primarily a foundation tool for security, compliance, and maintaining operational best practices. So these are the four stages that we have. So generally, when you enable the configuration or AWS config service, so this can be done in two ways. You can enable it or enforce it from the organization level across multiple AWS account, or you can also enable it on each and every account on your organization, because sometimes some organization might want to only monitor the production environment or specific environment which is more critical to their business, because config is a paid service. So there are certain limits until which it is free, but beyond that it's a paid service. So you don't have to unnecessarily turn on the config where you do a lot of development, lot of POC, proof of concept. If you are doing quite a lot of testing, lab, and other things, see, those environments are subjected to quite a lot of changes frequently. If you are maintaining those configuration details, or I mean, if you are recording those changes, it's going to be a quite amount of money for your organization. So in general, only for the account where your production workloads are hosted or pre-prod workloads are hosted, and even mission critical DR environments are hosted, there you can enable these configuration service, which is a valid, which is a regular common practice across all the organization. So this configuration recorder tool captures each and every change as a new item, and it continuously captures and periodically is also, like, you can send it to S3, or if you want to send it to specific SNS topic notification also, you can do it. So that integration, event bridge integration, it's all there. And it also comes with a few more information. So it maintains the history, it takes the snapshot, and the configuration tool, not only it's just recording the information, but also it can correlate it. So how the change was made? Was it because of the snapshot, or if someone made any changes, or you can also deliver all these relationship, the data that you're capturing into an Amazon S3 bucket. And after that, you can also evaluate directly from within the Amazon AWS config tool, or you can also do a offline validation from the S3 bucket also. If it is a root cause analysis, or if you're doing some troubleshooting, you can also do it. So it will clearly show you what is the organization desired state, what organization is expecting us to be on the AWS platform level, on the resource level, what is the configuration that organization want us to have, and what is the current state on the actual resource. And it will tell you whether it is compliant or non-compliant. If it is flagging it as non-compliance, then which means the configuration that we have done on that particular AWS resource is not in line with the organization standard. So yeah, it will also catch the out of band changes that were not made through the API. It will capture every single thing from command line, and so it is taking care of all the different areas: discovery, recording, relating, storing it in a different S3 bucket, or you can also do the troubleshooting directly from the AWS config console, and you can do the evaluation. So this is how the architecture looks like for the configuration. So all the changes are getting traced through the same single pipeline, where we have, when you turn on the configuration AWS config tool, it automatically starts the configuration recorder feature. So automatically it will detect the resource changes, and each and every changes will be a configuration item in the AWS config console. And if you want to redirect that output to a SNS topic, or if you want to kind of deliver it to an Amazon S3 bucket, so each and every configuration changes. So each configuration changes is the configuration item. Okay, so that will be getting stored in a S3 bucket or SNS topic for notification. So I'll show you how this works in practical. So don't worry, I know, like, we are hitting a lot of theory here, but I'll just show you how it works in practical shortly. And in parallel, configuration rules are also something which can be integrated with your event bridge or custom Lambda tools, or custom Lambda function, where you can also remediate the non-compliance activities. Okay, so see, there is no direct feature within your AWS config. Rather, if you want to do some remediation, or if you want to overcome the non-compliance item. So there are options from your systems manager or Lambda which can come and help you with bringing the configuration item to the state that organization is looking at. So this non-compliance result can automatically trigger this remediation either through Lambda function or systems manager. And it can also do one more thing. It can raise this as a finding in the security hub. Generally, the cloud security team, they monitor the security hub tool as a kind of continuous monitoring. So security hub also will have a entry that this AWS resource is non-compliant because of this particular configuration that it has. So security team will also will follow up with the operations team or the project team to fix that issue. So there are two entries you will see, one in the AWS config service, and it will also send a kind of entry to the security hub. And if you have multiple AWS account, and this is the best option, security hub can correlate and it can bring together, aggregate all the findings coming from multiple AWS account. So at a very high level, so AWS config is a configuration recording tool, and it also continuously evaluates what is the organization desired state and the actual state on the system, so that you can also do the remediation using systems manager or Lambda function. So this is going to help you have better compliance and better security posture of your environment. So this is just an example of how multi-account can be aggregator. So if you have multiple AWS account, each and every account will have configuration recorder, and we can configure rules at each and every level. But then if you want to do it from the central compliance also, organizations can be used and control tower can be used for automatically enabling config on every enrolled account in the region. So to control tower also, you can control it, you can manage it, but you also have the option to do it at the AWS account level, where you can go and enable the recorder and you can configure the rules, and you will see which rules are active in which AWS account. From there, you can also aggregate it to the AWS root account or the organization master account, and from there, the cloud security team or the security team can find out what are the gaps, and they will ask us to do the remediation. Okay, so configuration history, resource relationship, software configuration. So here as you could note, so it can leverage some of the agent if you have installed some agent within your operating system. So system level changes, operating level changes, and even the installed application and network configuration on the EC2 systems can also be captured, provided you have the agent to get those details. But in most of the organization, they might leverage the Ansible opportunity, I mean Ansible tool, because it provides you a lot of additional visibility as well as remediation. But eventually, like AWS config also will become a mature tool in the near future, and maybe after that, if AWS config is able to meet with all the activities or stuff that Ansible is currently doing, you can also use Ansible config alone in the future. But as on date, most of the organization, they use both AWS config and tools like Ansible to maintain the configuration state of your AWS resources and your operating system EC2 related application system level aspects as well. So this tool will record every single activity. Either you do it through the web console or API tool or SDK or CLI, all the information are getting tracked, captured, and you can also link and store it to specific S3 bucket, or you can also take action using Lambda function or systems manager. So let's do some practical, and then I will just come back to this console, why user wants this and what are the advantages, disadvantages, and what are the other tools which are in the market which are similar to AWS config. So Azure provides policy, HashiCorp provides Sentinel. So these are all more or less similar tools which has similar features, but in some point, in some particular aspect, okay, so AWS config is a little different from one another. So we will just get into that detail shortly. As I told you, config might not be always enough. In some organization, you might have to integrate with Lambda function, systems manager. You also have to have Sentinel or other tools if in case you want to have some kind of preventive mechanism and not just predictive or configuration management intelligence alone. So I'll come to this shortly, and I'll also explain what are the pricing tier and what are the different options we have, what are the different AWS services can be integrated, and what are the use cases, best practices. So there are quite a lot of information that we need to cover. So what we will do is I will just complete the practical and then come back to the benefits and other subsequent content. Okay, any questions so far from anyone? Okay, let me log in and let's look at, okay. Okay, I assume there is no question so far. 5C, 5SZX. My bad, I'm typing wrongly. 4, 6, B, yes. Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
like Azure Sentinel, we have any tool in AWS Sentinel?
See, data lake, security data lake is there. Sentinel is a SIEM tool. SIEM in the sense security incident and event management tool. So AWS also has security data lake, which can collect, correlate, and do event management like what Azure Sentinel does. So it has, but Sentinel is there since last 10 years, I would say, like, or at least 8 to 10 years. So some many organizations have started using it before security data lake was a mature product. So some customers are using data lake, but many customers are using Azure Sentinel. Okay, let me get the pin number. Okay. Okay, so you can search for the config service on the top, and you will get the AWS config, and it says track resource inventory and changes. So it has got multiple sub features: recorder, confirmation pack, conformance pack, rules, aggregators, and advanced queries. Let's open the config tool and then see if it has already recorded something. So let's go and check. Okay, so it is not yet set up. Okay, so we are setting it for the first time, and always be mindful of the pricing details. So you need to just kind of understand how much price it is. I will explain it in details. See, if you are enabling continuous recording, or if you're entering, if you're enabling periodic recording, so there are different prices, and for each and every rule that is getting evaluated, so there is some specific dollar for that per rule evaluation per region. And if it is an environment where quite a lot of configurations are happening, then of course, like, the price might jump, but it is a cheaper service. If you want to just practice out a few configuration changes and stuff, this is not going to um, eat a lot of money. But then still, if your organization has a lot of configuration items changes, then you need to think about it. So generally we don't enable it in non-prod, we enable it in pre-prod and production and DR environment to capture it. So you can see that okay, what happened? Okay, you can see that it is maintaining the configuration occurs in your AWS resources, okay, in general. But then it can be also configured to capture something from your operating system and on premises, but that is an alternate, I mean, that is an additional option that you have to do. So at a very high level, these are the 4 benefits. So this is a very good tool for change management, even though the primary purpose of this tool is to maintain the configuration or understand the configuration state of each AWS resource. This change management is what? So it's mainly to understand, track who has changed it and which resource is connecting to which resource, that interdependencies and all those things, right? So that change is already here, and you can continuously do the assessment and also understand the overall compliance of your AWS organization resources. And from operational point of view also, you can do the troubleshooting, and it is very helpful tool. It's a continuous monitoring tool from compliance point of view. It's not like your uh, resource or performance or availability monitoring tool. So for that, CloudWatch is different. CloudWatch is a monitoring tool, but from a performance, availability, health point of view. Okay, so this is more from a configuration point of view. It is a continuous configuration monitoring tool. Okay, it doesn't monitor the health, availability, performance, and all those things. So those, if you want to monitor the utilization and other aspects, so as we saw the other day, last Sunday or Saturday, CloudWatch is the tool which you have to use for those monitoring aspect. So let's get started. You have two options. If you want to do it as a quick one-click setup, you can also do it. Or if you want to look at the each and every option, how we are setting it up, because so this option gives you the flexibility to select which resources you want to be monitored or you want to be recorded. Whereas if you want all the resources types to be recorded, you can also do this. Or if you want to specifically select some resource types and specific frequency, you can also do it. Let's say I want to just monitor EC2 security group, and I want to monitor it on a daily basis or a continuous basis, I can also do it. So let me just put it continuous for now. And similarly, I have what maybe, let's see something, EC2. Okay, I will just say EC2 elastic IP also. And let me also monitor some more service. So you have quite a lot of individual resources that can be monitored. So I'm just monitoring the S3 bucket also. And so you can, if you want to just record everything, you can also do that. It's a global service and you can monitor all of them. And you can also use an existing AWS config service linked role, or you can also create a role from your account. So let's see if it is already there, or else I can also choose a role if there is some existing roles. So this is the default role. Okay, and it's going to be the same thing. Okay, so I can also use existing record. So if you want to store it, all the configuration changes, you can also choose another AWS account, or you can also choose the same AWS account from where you want to capture it. See, generally the best practice that most of the organization do is they don't want all these logs, audit information, or configuration management information on the same AWS account, because sometimes people make changes and then they might delete it. Okay, and then they might try to clean up the evidences and all those things. So generally only security team will have access to the auditing AWS account or logging AWS account or security AWS account. So organization might name this AWS account which is storing the configuration information in different names. So they might call it a security AWS account, or logging or auditing, or whatever different names. But at the end, they generally don't have the content of the workload AWS account and the configuration management log in the same AWS account. They won't have like that. So they will separate it. Okay, they have to segregate it. So I'll just create a separate S3 bucket as a best practice here. I can also add some prefix and suffix. So I have just added the S3 bucket. If you want to send Steam the configuration changes and notification to a Amazon SNS topic, you can also do it. Last week we are not able to successfully do it, but maybe let's try a new topic. Or maybe, yeah, this is a web server utilization, right? We'll create something new. So I will just create a new topic. Okay, and it is asking me which are the rules that you want to enable. There are already around 684 rules which are already AWS managed rules. For example, let's say I want to check the S3 public more aspect. I can also, okay, let me just filter it by the service. So CloudTrail data event, CloudTrail enabled is enabled on area. The role is not enabled. Okay. So you can also be, there are two options, two mode, detective as the general mode. So I will enable like CloudTrail S3 bucket access logging should be enabled. I'm enabling this. And they will also say CloudTrail S3 bucket public access should be prohibited. I'm enabling certain rules here. Okay, so this itself has multiple screen even after filtering S3. So I want S3 public ACL should be prohibited. So I also want the S3 default lock to be enabled. And I also want the S3 bucket logging should be enabled on all the S3. So you can keep adding whatever rules and the configuration that you want to manage and maintain it. So there are many actually. So you can select the encryption, replication. So I am saying like all the buckets should have versioning enabled. So I'm see the more the rules, more the cost. Okay, so ensure that you are enabling only the rules that you really want. Okay, so I think this is enough for S3. So let me try to add for EC2, maybe for the security group. Okay, so I think it doesn't pick up that way. So you can just go for the label. Okay, I'm restricting. I don't want the port to be open for wide internet 0.0.0.0/0. If it is open, it will term it as compliant, sorry, non-compliant. Click on next. So there are 7 rules that I have selected. So 6 of them are related to S3 and one of them is related to security group in VPC. So, and I'm also enabling S3 bucket as a delivery location, and also I'm enabling S3 SNS notification. So the bucket, sorry, the topic will also be created. Simple notification service and S3 and all these configuration recording. So once after this is done, it will go and ask for few things. Okay, currently it will start showing information immediately. So as of now, you can see that there are 0 non-compliant rules and 0 non-compliant resources. So we'll just check after a few minutes what is the status and situation, and we can also go and check the integration that we have done. Okay, so these are the rules that we have created. See, immediately it has started fetching the information. There are 5 AWS bucket which are not having the default lock enable. There are 5 S3 bucket which are not having logging enable. There are 4 S3 bucket which doesn't have versioning enable. So if you remember, like we enabled for one S3 bucket uh, the versioning, and for the remaining we did not do it. So that's the reason it's showing 4 are not enabled with versioning. And also security group, there are VPC related security group. There are 3 resources which are non-compliant. So if I just click on this rule, it will show me which are all the security groups which are non-compliant and what exactly is the problem in that. So it is saying there is a wide open range for 443 and also for some specific port number on each of this security group. So you can see that each and every security group here, and you can view the details to check what is the non-compliant reason. And it is saying that okay, let me just go one step further. So it is telling me that it has got a wide open range, and it is also clearly saying that there is quite a lot of port number which is widely open. So 3389 is completely open to the internet, and in another other two security group we have opened 0 to 65535 to wide open internet. So it's like these are the issues that we have, and we can just go back here, and in some time you will also see that compliance dashboard has got the details. In some time you can also aggregate it from different AWS account. If you go to the dashboard, you will start seeing the rules which are non-compliant. We enabled 7 rule, out of which 1 is compliant, 2 is yet to be recorded, and 4 is already stated as non-compliant rules, which means there are resources which are non-compliant. That is part of these 4 different rules. There are 7 rules which we enable, and out of which there are 8 resources which are identified as non-compliant. And you can also see the quick overview here. And if you want to get into the details, you can also go and check each and every resource, every particular non-compliant entry, and it will show you what is the resources that we need to fix. So let me go to the settings here. So currently I've enabled the S3 bucket and the SNS topic. So they are currently having data retention default period is 7 years. So for production environment, this is fine. But here for a I mean, just a testing, you don't have to have that much long duration. So I will just say they are asking minimum of 30 days and maximum of 7 years. So I will just say 30 days for now. That is the minimum number of days that you can have. Okay, and then I can also go and check the config topic, whether it is subscribed and whether it is receiving the changes. So I can just go to SNS, simple notification service, and check whether that particular subscription is already being subscribed by the email ID. I can also go to my Gmail and show you that in parallel. So last week we created one topic. This is the CloudWatch integrated topic, and this is the new topic that we have created. So here is where we have to go and add the subscription, which distribution list, which email ID or which group should receive the configuration changes. I'm just adding my ID here. So last week it did not work. We can also give it a try today, and then we can double check learn AWS with Stan at gmail.com. I think this is plus dev, but anyways, that's fine. It should work even if you're not using that slash dev, sorry, plus dev. So here I can go to that inbox and I should have a notification received. So I can confirm that I'm good to, my bad, sorry, I clicked on the wrong key here. Okay, I can just look at the configuration topic and confirm the subscription. So once I am confirmed, automatically I will start receiving the email alerts if there is any configuration changes that we are making. So let's go back and then verify whether the subscription is already visible and active. So it is confirmed, and it should start delivering the status, configuration status to that particular Gmail ID through the SNS topic. So I'll come to here and then try to fix some of the issues that we saw. Let's say I will just fix some of them. So this is like 3389 port is wide open. I can just copy the security group and then I can go and check it. So you can directly go and search the security group here. It will show you the VPC or at least the EC2. Let me just do this. I can go to EC2 directly or VPC also. Security group will be available in both the console. So this is the security group, which is non-compliant, and it's mainly because it is allowing all the traffic. So this is what custom security group. So I don't want all the traffic to be allowed. I want to edit the rule. I want specific traffic like SSH. And that to see this should not be wide open. You have to give a range. Okay, so let me save the rule for now. And what is the other security group? So this is also non-compliant, which is ending with 0D. Okay, it is also allowing wide open traffic to all the port, all the protocol. So I need to limit it. So I don't know which are the users who are going to use it. But let me, okay, let's do one thing. Let's try to change the S3 versioning on a couple of the buckets. So we saw some rules there. Because yeah, I'm connected to this system, and if I'm just changing the rule, I will be disconnected. So these are the ones. So versioning not enabled. So there are 4 buckets as of now. So I'm going to remediate some of them. Stand test bucket 00033. Okay, I'm going to enable the versioning. Okay, what else is the problem? So you can look at either ways. You can just go by the rule and the resources, or else you can also go and check the other way around. What are the non-compliant aspects from that S3 bucket? So this S3 bucket has 4 non-compliant. Versioning was not enabled, logging is not enabled, default lock is not enabled. Now I will just fix all of these for this bucket. So it is asking me to store it in a S3 bucket. Let me just try to say without giving. Okay, it won't allow. So I'll just put it in some other test bucket for now. I'm just enabling the logging for this one. Okay, similarly, you can keep fixing it. Let's see if I'm starting to receive email. See, perfect. This time today it worked like a gem. So I have made some changes on security group, and you can see that custom security group, someone has made the changes to remediate it. This is a new state that it has found out. So someone logged into the AWS management console and they have updated this entry. They have made the update. It is clearly showing that which security group and which particular rule that they changed, right? And what are the changes that they made. Everything is kind of completely visible. So this is how you'll start receiving the SNS notification, as well as if you go to your S3 bucket, there is a configuration bucket. Here also you can start seeing the logs coming from the config. So you will see the service name within that. So this is the AWS log, and within that this is the account number. So generally when you have multiple AWS account, you need to understand which AWS account the problem is being fixed, or which is the AWS account that is sending the information, right? So this is the account number, and within that you have the service name, and you have the file which monitors and tracks every single changes that is being made. Like that is the same alert which you are getting here. See, I've changed the S3 bucket now, and I've enabled the logging configuration, and also I have made some more changes for making the bucket. I enable the versioning. See, currently it is versioning is enabled, and the resources also is getting compliant. Okay, so this is how you will start getting, the security team will start seeing the updates. If they want to see it in email, or if they want to come to the console and just check this, that is also fine. See, because S3 storage also is chargeable, and SNS notification also will, if there are too much of notification, then that will also be kind of chargeable. And if I just refresh it, I should start seeing all these as compliant. Okay, I don't see a kind of refresh option here, but as of now, it is showing these are all non-compliant. But I will just overall give it a refresh here, the screen refresh, and then see whether these are all changing back to compliant state. Okay, let me just go one step back, or let me just give it a one more try. See, it has become compliant. So these are the two issues I fixed now. I've enabled the S3 logging and versioning, and this is now compliant. So this is how you can start doing it. And here I can also do one more thing. Okay, so here also I have the option to re-evaluate it. I forgot this. So instead of refreshing, you can go and do this re-evaluation, so that it will go and validate whether the changes has been made or not. And if you want to delete these results or rule, you can also do it. And if you want to manage the remediation steps also, you can do it. And here is where you can go and configure what kind of remediation you want to do, whether you want to enable the versioning, or if you want to change the security group, you can also do it automatically, or you can also do it manually from here. This is also an option which you can use. Or if you know, if you have access to the AWS resource specifically, you can better go there and also change it. So there are quite a lot of framework that it is asking S3 bucket version to be versioning to be enabled. So if you look at the list here, so there are too many frameworks that is insisting on this. Looking at the list, so NIST, CIS, FedRAMP, PCI standards, NIST. So all these framework are insisting that your data versioning should be enabled so that the integrity is maintained and reputation is maintained. So that is the reason AWS is also giving you this particular rule as a common rule for ensuring that you have the compliance state or configuration state. So you can do it for multiple AWS services. As you could see, there are 684 rules that are available. And another point of view, right? So this is enabling rule by rule. So some organization, they don't go rule by rule. Rather, they might have a kind of oblig, they might be obliged to achieve CAS AWS benchmark version 1.4 or FedRAMP R4 or PCI DSS standard. So if they have to be compliant to a particular framework or a compliance need or a compliance regulatory requirement, so there is another option here where you can go and apply the conformance pack. So here, if you want to deploy this conformance pack, it will give you what is the template that you want to apply, whether you want to apply NIST or whether you want to apply the best practices for specific S3 servers or backup, or if you want to apply CAS benchmark or FedRAMP. So there are quite a lot of industry standard compliance best practices that are grouped together, and the entire conformance pack will be applied to your AWS account, and it will start evaluating all the rules which belong to that particular compliance regulatory standard. So you can also do this way to apply bundle or apply the aggregated rules specific to a compliance requirement. So this is a kind of collection of AWS config rule. It is not one rule, it's a collection of configuration rule for a specific industry need. So if you are coming from a payment card industry or a finance industry, or where you have a payment card integration, then they will ask us to go and apply the conformance pack PCI DSS so that your AWS platform, AWS resources configuration is in line with the PCI DSS standard. Similarly, like NIST or CAS, whatever standards, benchmarking, or operational best practices which you want to deploy or apply, you can, this is a very good option to do that. So you can also come and check the inventory now. Again, it will start showing the overall details shortly. But if you want to make some changes, what kind of rules you want to apply, or what kind of resources you want to monitor, you can also come and change it here. So this is where you do the single account updates. This is for the single account, which are the rules, which are the resources that you are doing for this AWS account. But if you want to aggregate it from various AWS account, you can also aggregate it. So this is mainly in your organization if they want to bring everything onto a separate AWS account, and if they want to monitor from cloud security team or auditing team, they can also do that. It's not just you can apply it for only one account, you can apply it for multiple accounts, and you can aggregate the data coming from multiple AWS account. Okay, so this is what at a very high level configuration tool is all about. And let's go back to the theory. Okay, so let me also stop the rules. Let me just, because this will keep the more the evaluation, more the logs, and more the notifications as well. So if I'm keeping all these, then it's going to be tough. So of course, there will be, these logs will retain for 30 days. That's a minimum standard that we have also agreed. So I'm just going to delete all of these. And also, if you want to delete the result that it has found, you can also delete the result. So that option is a little higher here. So this is the option you have to delete if you want to delete the result as well, which it has obtained. Okay, fine, we are done. And I will also go and delete the SNS notification as well. So that is also something. If I leave it, it will start. Okay, done. So here they have given the refresh. Interesting. Okay, so it's getting deleted. Fine. So I can just go to SNS and delete that as well. So if you try deleting it, it will throw a error because there is an active subscription. So if I just say delete me, it will say that error. So there is some active. Oh, it is deleting these days. Okay, earlier we had to go to the subscription, and we have to just clean this up first, and then only you have to do it. But anyways, it is allowing, so I can just go and delete it. Okay, so last week we added the subscription. Those things also we can clean it up. One we created for email, and another one we created for SQS to store the messages in the queue. We saw both the lab. Okay, done. So now we are done with that. Let's look back into some of the theory. See, as you can see, there are quite a lot of benefits, right? All the changes that you are making in order to achieve the compliance, that is also getting tracked. It will be getting stored in your S3 bucket, AWS config console, as well as if you want to get it as a notification in your email inbox, that is also something which you can do. That is what we saw just now. And you can also prove this as a compliance to your organization auditing team, because it is giving you a very good report result, where it shows that where it gives you the evidence that your environment is compliant as per this conformance pack, either for PCI or HIPAA or NIST or CAS or whatever. So all those aspects are there, and this is going to be a very good tool for the operations team, because they can quickly understand, troubleshoot where exactly the problem is, and every single configuration is getting recorded. This is a troubleshooting tool as well. And from users point of view, so this gives quite a lot of benefits, advantages, because you can manage multiple AWS account in one single console, in one single aggregated view, and hundreds, I mean almost like it was 700, close to 700 managed rules are there. And if you go to conformance pack again, there are quite a lot of additional rules are there. And as you can see that it can be easily set up. There was an option, right? One click deployment. If you just click on that, it will automatically enable the config, and it is very fast. But if you want to do it like how I did, going and selecting the resources, selecting the rules, adding the S3 bucket, configuring the SNS notification, you can also do it in multiple steps if you want to do that explicitly. Or if you just want to enable config and just want to look at the compliance state in the AWS config tool itself, then one click step is, or one click step is enough. And this is a automation, security and governance tool, and it can automatically, we can integrate with lambda functions or systems manager, or you can create a event bridge rule to automatically remediating it as well. And it also has quite a lot of other AWS services which are all integrated. If you have a AWS organization created, you can check all the different accounts status in the organization level, and you can also see that in the security hub also. So this is a very powerful tool, and sometimes you have to use multiple tools like CloudTrail and other tools. If your um, need is to auto remediate it or get more details as part of the RCA, then CloudTrail is where you will get quite a lot of information. So this is a continuous configuration management and auditing tool with the hundreds and hundreds of rule, and this is a kind of just a turnkey solution where you just have to enable it. There is no backend system that you need to have. High availability is all taken care. It is a AWS managed service. If you are setting up your own configuration management server, so you need to worry about setting it in a high availability, resiliency, and the cost of the OS, patching, and all those things you need to take care of if you are managing your own configuration management server. So this is a AWS configuration management as a service where you don't have to really set up the system, high availability, all those things are taken care. And even it's like just one key option or one click option where you can completely turn on the config tool. It's a continuous compliance monitoring tool. So there are certain disadvantages. So complex customization. So if you want to create your own custom rules, then you need to spend some time because it's a JSON based one, and cost can creep if your organization has too much of changes. There, if people are making too many configuration changes on each and every item on your AWS resource, then you need to be careful there. So generally, they enable it only for the priority account or the mission critical account, and it also has the native reporting tools integrated to security hub, or you can also use third party tool where you can go and store it. You can also integrate it with Azure Sentinel or other different data lake solutions, and you can also have the report stored outside, like you can also integrate it with Splunk or different company tool also. So there is a very minimal learning curve, so you can also use SQL like queries to query the report and get it. And you can also configure the scope. As I showed you, you can configure it for the entire all the resources, or you can also specific which region, which resource you want to track, monitor. That option also is there. So it's not a very real-time alerting, but you are getting it very quickly, like within few seconds or few minutes. So we saw that real-time alerting. So even though they say not real-time alerting, there is some minor minimal difference, because like we are using AWS config, which is kind of managed service. Again, AWS simple notification service is also leveraged by many customers. So there will be quite a lot of pipeline. There will be quite a lot of messages stuck, notification email stuck in the queue. So you will get it within few seconds. So maybe like this is a weekend and it worked very quickly. So in the market, there are other tools which are doing the similar work. When you talk about Microsoft Azure, they have Policy, which is also a kind of auditing and governance tool. And yeah, so Sentinel is a SIEM tool. And for that, AWS Security Lake is there. It's a different tool. So this is more of a configuration management tool from security and compliance and governance point of view. So HashiCorp Sentinel is different. Okay, it's a separate company. So if you have heard about Terraform and those tools, so it comes from HashiCorp. HashiCorp also has a tool called Sentinel, which can also act as a policy as a code where you can have the guardrail setup. And this tool config is more of a detective tool, but if you want to integrate it with systems manager or lambda function, it can also become a remediation tool, also proactive tool as well. So this is Azure Policy, where it is a preventive deny modify tool as well as detective tool. So if you are just trying to create a resource with non-compliant resources, it will also deny, it will also not allow you to create it in Azure. But here in AWS, it will allow you, but it will say it is a non-compliant resource. It's a detective tool. Maybe in the future, they might change that. And configuration history, yeah, it is full point in time you have it. But in Azure Policy, there is a limitation. You can only have it for certain period, and also you can access it only through resource graph tool. And similarly, remediation, you can integrate it with SSM automation and Lambda function. So here in Azure Policy, they restrict itself. Okay, whenever they see something is non-compliant, which is getting deployed, they will not allow to deploy, and even they will not allow you to modify it as well for the existing resources. So that's a kind of very good preventive tool, and that preventive option is available in HashiCorp Sentinel as well. Maybe in future, AWS also will have that preventive feature. So AWS config, from pricing point of view, it is per configuration item, and for each and every evaluation rule that you are running, it is going to be charged. But over the period, it will get accumulated and the price will be significant. But it's a very cheaper tool, and config is a very good tool for when you want to have compliance auditing or compliance as a code kind of option, where you just go and turn on one click option, one button, and then you just select which are the rules that you want and go on. So again, Azure Policy is also a native tool from Azure, Microsoft Azure. So it's also a platform as a service, or it's a managed service option similar to AWS config, and it is also very powerful tool. There are other tools also in the market like Prisma Cloud. So this is more of a vulnerability tool. Most organizations use it from vulnerability point of view, but it can also do the configuration management, security aspects, monitoring also it can do. So this is a very popular tool nowadays, especially in the cloud side. They are using this. On premises, there are organizations which they are still using Qualys or Tenable Nessus. So those are the tools which are common in on-premises infrastructure or data center operation. But cloud point of view, this is getting very, very popular, and this is the tool that we could see in many organizations. And cloud query, and there are many other tools. So if you have multiple cloud environment like AWS, Azure, GCP, and so on, and if you want to monitor all of the policies and stuff, the security status of all the three cloud, then you can go for tools like cloud query, which is cross-functional. Similarly, HashiCorp Sentinel is also multi-cloud policy enforcement tool. If you have multiple environment, and if you want to do infrastructure as a code deployment using Terraform, and if you want to push the same way for policies, you can use HashiCorp Sentinel, which is policy as a tool, a code, or um, compliance as a code tool, which can be used for securing all the different multi-cloud environment. So sometimes config is not enough, because it's a detective tool. And if you want to make it preventive or proactive tool, then you need to integrate it with either the HashiCorp Sentinel, or if you want to integrate it with, let's say, what is this tool, Lambda function or systems
Yes.
manager. Sorry.
This is third party tool only, right?
Which one?
This
This is a third
AWS.
party tool. Yeah, AWS IS is a third party tools. These are all third party tools. Yes, yes. Only AWS config is a native tool from from Amazon, and Azure policy is a native tool from Microsoft Azure. And whatever, this is also third party, and all these are third party. Yes. Okay, so this is more of a tool which is detective in nature, and of course, you can fix it from within the console. There are options to remediate it, and mostly it detects, and it only works on AWS. So, if you have an organization where if you want to have multiple cloud, or if you want to use infrastructure as a code integrated to a CI/CD pipeline and all those things, then Sentinel is a very good tool. And if you want to have automatic remediation, then you can also integrate it with Lambda function and systems manager. So
This
always it's a
Terraform logs also can be
Mhm.
captured, sir.
Sorry,
Terraform logs also can be captured.
Terraform logs also can be captured using Sentinel, yes, but not with AWS. AWS is mainly for cloud formation. Okay, so this is the cost model that we have. You are going to pay only for what you are consuming. So for each and every configuration item, so you have this 0.003 dollar, and for every single rule that you are running to evaluate whether it is inline or whether it is compliant or non-compliant, so it is like 0.001. And again, the more the usage, the more the consumption, the pricing will get reduced. So it is all tiered pricing. Okay, it's not always 001. Sometimes it will get cheaper to 0008 or 005. Overall, if you are having too many evaluations, the more the usage, lesser the pricing. And you also have the conformance pack. If you want to enable HIPAA or PCI or ISO or CAS or specific benchmark, specific best practices or standards or conformance pack, for each and every pack that you are enabling, that is also chargeable. So there are three different pricing element you need to be aware of. There is no minimum or upfront commitment. So based on the usage, you have to pay for it. And today we saw Amazon S3 usage for storing the configuration details. So you will be charged separately. And for SNS topic also, you will be charged separately. And if you want to use Lambda function to do the remediation and fixing, that is also separate charge. So these are all not part of your AWS config. It's a separate service with separate billing element. So there are tiering option as I told you. So for example, let's say evaluation tier. So this is the middle item here, right? So by default, it's like 001, but after a particular level, like let's say after 1 lakh to 5 lakh evaluation, it's very, very cheap. And above 5 lakh evaluations, it's even pretty much cheap. Okay, so this is the bill you can anticipate. Sometimes you might have a lot of usage, but the billing will be less. So the reason is like for the 50,000 rule evaluation, this is the amount that it will be used for calculation. But beyond 1 lakh, then this is the amount it will be used for calculation, and you will see a difference in amount. So, okay, for example, let's say you have 10,000 configuration items and 50,000 rule evaluation. So this is how it will be calculated, and this is how your bill will look like. So if you have too many conformance pack, then only you will have higher pricing, or else it's pretty much cheap. So AWS services can be integrated. Quite a lot of AWS services are natively available to be integrated. Like we did not do any additional configuration changes to for S3 or SNS, right? We just added it as a configuration item, and it's pretty straightforward. Cloud Trail, Lambda function, security group, control tower, organization. So these are all natively integrated. And if you want to just enable it and look at the details, you can just look into it from the other native tools. So this is where AWS config really delivers the value. It's compliance as a core tool where it continuously look into the environment compliance across different AWS account. You can also call this as a incident forensic tool, like because you can also do change management, root cause analysis, troubleshooting, security monitoring. So both operations team as well as the cloud security team uses this tool exhaustively because of the nature of the tracking that it provides. It discovers every single resource if you have enabled for all the resources, and it tracks every single configuration, traces the issue back to when it happened, and you can also go and roll back it. And if you want to provide the evidence on who made the changes, you can also use other tools like CloudTrail to get more details. So always scope your recorder. Don't go and record it all the resources because that is not really needed. Record the resources that you really need. Audit the resources which is needed by your organization. Don't go and configure it for wide open all the resources. That is not a good practice. And exclude the high churn noise resources. If you know these resource types are continuously changing and someone is continuously modifying some of the resources, try to avoid those particular high churn noise resources. Limit it to the region where exactly you are operating. Don't go and enable it in all the regions. And you can clean up the unused rules. If you know like these rule evaluations are not really needed, then go and clean them, prune them, and right size the recording mode. If you want to do it on a daily basis or continuous basis or a periodic basis, you can also change it. Okay, that's what we saw, right? It has option to go and enable it periodically, every month, every week, or whatever you want to do it. If you want to do continuous evaluation also, you can do the continuous recording. It's up to you, and based on the organization need, you can do it. So and of course, conformance pack is something, it's a very good tool to manage policy as a code, or the grouping of the rules based on a particular framework. So these are the 6 different habits that can keep configuration tool both economical, cost effective, as well as effective, right? So you can have a effective configuration management as well as economical optimized config tool. Okay, at a very high level, these are the key takeaways. The continuous recording of the configuration relationship change history. So this is used by root cause analysis team, operations team, as well as a cloud security team. This is the tool which turns compliance into code with both AWS provide rules as well as the pack, conformance pack that they are giving. So it's a pay-as-you-go service. So cost is being tracked based on the configuration item, volume, the scoping that you are configuring, and you can integrate it with any tool that you want, specifically like Control Tower, CloudTrail, Security Hub, Lambda, Systems Manager, or organization. So these are the common services that needs integration. It is already pre-integrated. You can also use this. Okay, so finally, like this tool is going to be a very good assessment tool of your configuration of all the AWS resources. You can audit the entire environment, all the AWS account, and you can evaluate, govern, and you can also remediate from within the console. So any questions on AWS config? This is a very important tool from security point of view, security exam point of view as well, and for solution architect point of view as well. And operations team also can use this regularly to do some troubleshooting and find out the root causes of when the change was made, because it is continuously recording all the configuration changes.